Welcome back to the shop. In the last video, you'll see that Tina and I went out and we participated in the Do-It-Yourself Tuolumne County Independence Day Parade. Well, that was a great day and we really had a lot of fun making that video. I'm a really patriotic guy, so stuff like that is right up my alley. I really enjoy it. So here's what happened though. On the way home, we started hearing a little bit of an exhaust leak coming from the two-door sedan here. So in case you don't know what it sounds like when you get an exhaust leak, it kind of sounds like a ticking valve, but only when you accelerate or when the engine's under load. And the more load the engine's under, the louder the ticking, almost sometimes maybe even a slapping sound if it gets to be really bad. So as soon as I got the car home, of course, when we came home, it was 101 degrees driving home. And the two-door sedan, when I first restored this car many years ago, I did it as a fine point restoration. So this car is 100% stock, which means no extra insulation in the floorboards, no firewall insulator, no heat proofing of any kind. It gets good and hot in this car. Now, of course, since I've turned it into a driver, it's still a pretty much a fine point restoration car, except it has a Mitchell overdrive now. It has a right rear tail light with turn signals now, just so it's safer to drive every day kind of thing and on tours. And now this car, of course, has 17,000 miles on it. It's been all over the place. Anyway, so when I got the car home, keeping in mind it was 101 degrees when we got home, I went ahead and thought, well, maybe it's the easy part. I looked for any soot or anything around the manifold gaskets or where the manifold meets the muffler pipe, and I saw a little bit of soot around where the manifold meets the muffler pipe. Great, cinch. So I took that apart, redid it, put it back together, and thought, oh, great. So I let the sealant and everything dry, took the car out for a ride last night, and it was still doing it. So, all right. So I'm going to have to change the manifold gaskets. That's probably where the leak is. Hopefully it's just that. Hopefully it's not a cracked manifold. This has a new old stock at the time intake and exhaust manifold. So, it's 90 years old. Things happen, but hopefully it's just the gasket. So anyway, it's still pretty hot in the shop. So here it is next day, and it's already 93 degrees in the shop and getting hotter. It's supposed to be over 100 again today. So light clothing today in the shop and some correct air conditioning to try and stay cool on the epoxy floor that's very clean and waxed. That works just fine. So bear with me. We still, however, have the same motto, welcome to my shop, where safety is still the #1 priority, even though it's ridiculously hot. We want to start off by protecting the surfaces of the car. So since the hood needs to be wide open for this, I take a couple of soft rags and lay them on the opposite side. Except this is so waxed they just want to fall off. That way you can lay the hood completely over and not have to worry about propping it and having it slip and fall. We're just going to lay the hood completely over, giving us full access to the manifolds. And since we're going to be doing a lot of work over the fender, I like taking a towel, a real soft terry towel, laying it over the fender, or use a dedicated fender cover if you have one. Now getting on your knees here, making sure the gas valve is off. You don't want to be dumping gas all over your shop floor. We're going to take all the connections to the carburetor loose. We're going to keep the carburetor connected to the manifold here for this. So just disconnect everything to the carburetor. You'll see we're just going to lay the whole assembly down as a whole. Unless we have to take it off to resurface it or something, we shouldn't have to do anything weird with it. So put that up there to make sure, just in case your valve leaks, that you don't have gasoline pouring out all over the place. I'm going to take our vacuum line out here. Take it loose with your 7/16 wrench. And we'll rotate that up out of the way too. Almost. It's just going to fight me the whole way. Okay. You don't need any tools to take the throttle linkage off or the choke linkage. You can take those off easily. Push the choke rod up into the car to get it out of your way. Okay, now we're going to use our 11/16 deep socket with an extension on it. We're going to pull the manifold off. I'll save you the hassle of having to watch this in real time and speed this up for you. Now, if everything goes right, you should be able to just simply slide the entire manifold off as one piece. Just like that. And we're just going to set it down right here on, well, what now is an oil filter. And looking at my manifold gaskets, I think I found the culprit. This looks like it has totally just come apart. You can see where it was leaking right in here. A lot of soot in the area. So it looks like I found the problem. So as you can see, I was not using gland rings on this. The original gaskets I had on here I took the rings off when I put these gaskets on because the instructions said you don't need the glands. Well, I use them on all my other cars and I don't have this problem, so I think I'm going to put gland rings on this one just like original. The next step is use a scraper, some razor blades, and wire brush, and we're going to clean that whole area up and make sure that there's no gunk left on there and that the area is perfectly smooth, both on the engine block and on the manifold. And we're also going to check the manifolds for trueness. You ever have those kind of days where nothing goes right? I'm having one of those days now. Well, I took the manifold off as you saw. I started cleaning up the area. Judging by the gasket damage, I just assumed that's probably a bad gasket, something may have happened. But there's always a chance that the gasket could have actually blown out because something actually happened to the exhaust manifold. Well, that's exactly what happened here. So this exhaust manifold, which I purchased, I don't know, a really long time ago, was a new old stock. And, well, 90 years of fatigue have taken its toll on this exhaust manifold. It has a couple of little cracks in it. One of the problems it has is right on the number 4 cylinder exhaust. It has an actual little small chip in the edge of it, like there's a piece missing. And there's a little crack in the number 1 cylinder exhaust port. So actually 2 problems. So since this car isn't shown anymore as a blue ribbon car, I think I'm probably just going to look around the shop and see what I can come up with. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact year or anything like this was. But if I don't find anything I really like, I'll probably just pick up a reproduction. The reproduction ones are not that bad. The newer reproduction exhaust and intake manifolds are actually decent. They look funny, but they're actually decent, so we'll see which way I go with this. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this back to the engine without a gasket or anything, but just kind of bolt it on hand tight, just so I can get the carburetor off and take the muffler off and all that, and clean everything up that way. And then I'll pull it off and then put it up on the wall as a decoration. Okay, it's been almost 3 weeks now. That's what happens when you own several Model A's. Is one of them's broken, it's like, I'll get to it when I get to it. So in that 3 weeks, what has happened? Well, number 1, I got a hold of a reproduction exhaust manifold. I worked it over, got all the ugliness off of it. It's still not really perfect. It doesn't look like an original, but it's close enough. Got that ready to go, and I went ahead and cleaned up the block here. So everything on the block is perfectly smooth. All the old, any gasket material, anything like that, dirt, crud, whatever, it's all off. It's perfectly smooth here. Made sure that the threads are nice and clean on this. So we're just about ready to put everything back together now. Getting our manifold ready to go, there's 2 things you need to check. Number 1, you need to check that all the ports are exactly in line. So the way I do this is I put the gland rings in, the number 1 and the number 4 exhaust ports. Here's the gland rings we're going to use. Yes, this time I'm using gland rings. I use them on all my other cars and I never have any exhaust leaks or problems like I did this time, so definitely using gland rings. So anyway, put a gland ring in the first and last port, and then get your straight edge, a metal straight edge, put it right up against both of them. See, right here like this. Then you're going to go and you're going to make sure that every port is line up. Now you see this one's about 10 thousandths off. So that one's right on, that one's right on. This one's about 15 thousandths. That's okay. As long as they're within about 20 thousandths, that's fine. Okay, so we're all good there. The ports are in line. The next thing we need to check now is to make sure that this is going to sit flat against the block. So we're going to take our straight edge, we're going to go down here, and then we're just going to check and make sure. Yep. Now I know this is flat because I just made sure this was flat by putting it on the machine. So, but anyway, you always make sure that everything's flat. You don't want any gap here. You don't want any gaps. You want this perfectly flat in between the intake and all the exhaust manifolds. As you can see, I did a little machining on this, so yeah, it's flat. But I knew that going in, so I just wanted to make double sure. Now, this is ready to go on the car. Now, when you install the gland rings, I always like to put them in the manifold side and make sure that this little slot right here, that they don't overlap, and that the hole where they slide into is nice and smooth. There's a nice little shelf on the bottom for them to bottom out to. Make sure there's no crud in the way, and then orient it so that the seam points up. Well, my theory is anyway that if there is an exhaust leak, then you'll see the soot kind of come through that slot, and then you'll see it kind of on the side of the block or on the side of the head. I don't know. At least in theory, that's how it works. So you got to make sure these are bottomed out real nice and make sure that they don't overlap where the seam is. Make sure that the two sides of the seam just touch each other. Looking through the Model A part suppliers catalogs, you'll see there's a few different kinds of gaskets here that you can use for the manifolds. Well, here's the kind I like. These are the ones that were in use between January 29 and May 1931. These are probably the best gaskets, so definitely get the ones with the copper. Here's some gaskets from two different manufacturers. You notice these gaskets have just a little bit more material inside. These have a little bit bigger opening. These fit over the gland rings a little easier than this one does. Doesn't really matter. Whichever one you use, that's fine. These will go over. You just kind of have to push them on a little bit. So you have to put these on the manifold first. I like to put the gaskets on the motor first, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So first thing we have to do is get our gaskets ready. So the engine block side is not exactly flat. I mean, there's some casting imperfections in the block itself. So I definitely like to use a little bit of high temp sealant, at least on the block side. But it's kind of helpful to do it on both sides. So first you got to get the gaskets ready. So first thing I do is put a little isopropyl on the gaskets, and I'm just going to get all the oil and anything off the gaskets so that the silicone will stick to it well. Once in a while you'll see a little bit of oil to, I don't know, I guess keep the copper from getting messed up while they're in the package waiting to be sold. Not sure why, but quite a bit of oil comes off, but no big deal. I mean, the high temp silicones will stick to a little bit of oil. They don't really seem to care. Okay, with the gaskets ready, next I'm going to put some sealant on the block side of the gaskets. All right, here's a little pro tip for you. If you don't want your silicones to dry up when they're sitting on the shelves, use this cap, just don't cut the end off of it. Using that little white plastic cap, it doesn't matter. It sits on the shelf for about a week and then the end will be dry, but look at the end of this one, not dry at all. It's been sitting for about a month waiting for this, so here we go. I'm going to just apply a thin bead of this to the side that I'm going to put against the engine block. Okay, let's go put these on the block. If you're paranoid like me, you can put a little bit of sealant on the manifold itself. I'll just put that in place. Make sure that the rings go into the slots, into the holes. All right. Now get some hardware, and you see these washers that are used to hold the manifolds on. See, there's a little bit of a parabola on one side and a little bit of a dome on the other. The parabola goes towards the block, the dome goes towards you. I'm going to put just enough pressure on this to hold the manifold in place. Just enough. I'm not going to torque it yet. I'm going to double check my alignment. Make sure the manifold's flush against the block. Now I'll go ahead and add the rest of the hardware. Okay, now we'll get the torque wrench and we'll get these torqued. There's a little bit of a difference of opinion on how much torque should go on the manifold bolts. Some people say only 25 foot-pounds, some people say 45 foot-pounds. I know people that torque these to 60 foot-pounds. I'm kind of in the middle somewhere. I've always torqued mine to about 45, so I've got my torque wrench set for 45 foot-pounds right now. Just easing up on the torque here, keeping it pretty flat. I'm just going by feel right now. Okay, let's go. First you have to get on the nut. There it is. Now on to attaching the muffler. You see, a little bit earlier I went ahead and applied a little bit of high temp gasket maker to the top flange of the muffler, and I'll just let it dry just enough to where it just starts to kind of get a skin on top, to where it's still just a little tacky but it doesn't come off on my fingers. So then we're ready. I go ahead and jack this up and guide it onto the manifold here. I got it where I want it. Put a little pressure on it. You'll feel the car kind of come up just a little bit. Make sure it's straight. That's straight right there. Now get my clamp ready. There is a top and a bottom to the clamp. You'll see the bottom of the clamp has a little bit wider of a flange than the top does. So according to the judging standards, this would be unfinished brass nuts and unfinished steel bolts, which means you have dissimilar metals, which means if you don't want them to seize up like this is trying to do already, you need to put a little anti-seize on these. The exhaust pipe to manifold clamp has to be a little bit of an angle so that this doesn't end up hitting the oil return tube. So you'll need a 9/16 socket with a short extension on it and a 9/16 wrench to get these tight. And you want to tighten them evenly. about it. I'll save you the boredom of watching this in real time and speed this up a little bit. This connection here for the vacuum line that runs the windshield wiper, on this manifold it was a little tight, just like it was kind of on the old manifold, so I had to kind of tweak on this just a little bit to get it right, but eventually it did go in and it did seal up pretty well. You can use a vacuum gauge if you want to check it. Put it on the tube that goes into the windshield wiper motor, and you can check and make sure that the vacuum is fairly well sealed. Assuming your engine's in pretty good shape, you don't have bad rings or anything, you should actually be able to hold a little bit of vacuum with this if it's done right. No real magic here now connecting the choke rod, except I'm going to tell you right now, this is a lot easier if you have a helper who can be inside the car, because when you're trying to move the choke rod down while pushing the spring up, there's just not enough hands. So if you have a helper that can sit inside the car and push the choke rod down for you, it makes this go a lot easier. But since I didn't have a helper, you can just watch me struggle with it, but I got it eventually. Anyway, don't forget to reconnect the throttle linkage too. That would really suck if you forgot that. It's the next morning. If you've made it this far into the video, congratulations. So what has happened now, it's sat overnight, and we made sure that there's no gas leaks with the gas valve on. I checked all around the carburetor fittings and the fittings around the fuel filter up on the firewall here. No fuel leaks, so everything's good. We're just going to get this thing ready to take it out for the first time, make sure it runs, first of all. First, real quick, I'm just going to double check the torque on the manifold bolts. I got my torque wrench actually set for 40 foot-pounds right now, and I'm going to see if anything moves. No movement there. Nope, we're good there. Good. Good. Nothing moved. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and button it up and see if it still runs. Success! Well, it's sure nice to have the family car back in service. So we have a few tours and things coming up. In fact, tonight's a club meeting, so maybe I'll take this to the club meeting tonight. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I know this went long. I'm sorry. We didn't really anticipate the problem with the manifolds originally. But you know what? Things happen. So when you're working on your Model A, you run into stuff all the time. Now you know how to deal with at least that problem. If you happen to be one of the Model A parts suppliers watching this video, I'd love to partner with you. We could do so many more things if we had a part supply and things like that, or financial support. That'd be great. So hit me up. Here's the email address right here. paul@paulshin.us. Hit me up right here. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you're not a Model A part supplier, you just got problems with your Model A, you want a little help, I'd be glad to help you out. I'm kind of always into helping somebody get their Model A back on the road. So anyway, from me to you, thank you so much for watching this video. More videos coming up, including that motor build we're working on. So keep an eye out for that. Please subscribe to the channel too. That button's right here. Thanks again. Until next time.